Argentina come off of a 2-0 loss to Colombia in their first group game of the Copa America. I expected them to win this next game because they have to look for the points if they're going to want to get out of this group. For me, they were favorites. I'm pretty sure for a lot of people they were going into this competition, being just having the quality player that is Messi, having the best player in the world in your ranks. You would think that they would be one of the best, but like I said in that past video on their game, their loss against Colombia, I saw the team. The team is bad. Sometimes a lot of people like to talk and they don't know the quality of the team that surrounds a certain player, and they mostly just say that it's all his fault. He doesn't show up in big games and things like that. But it's more than that. You got to see the match just to criticize, to actually be just. And just for me, just from watching this match, you could see that this team can't even make 2-3 passes. It was a very physical game. Paraguay was playing basically on the counter the whole time. They were looking for the fouls. Some of them did come across by Messi, some options of attack, but Paraguay was shutting them down as best they could. They were shutting them down with fouls, basically clean fouls. But Paraguay did what they had to do. Like I said, they were playing on the counter. They were looking to capitalize on anything they could get that the Argentinian players were going to allow them, and they did. They could have actually won this game. Towards the end, they actually had a penalty called in their favor because of just Otamendi just doing the dumbest things, like fouling from behind, which is what you would never do. And I don't know. Sometimes I question his quality. I say, why is he at Man City? But I know that he doesn't play, so I guess Guardiola is smart in that regard, but whatever. But it just goes to show the quality of the players that Argentina has. They're not up to par. A lot of them are just hyped up, basically, just because they have a name or just because they play in this top club in whatever league in England or in Italy or, I don't know, Spain. And sometimes it's just all name and it's not the product isn't there. The end product isn't there. And that shows, especially in Argentina. A lot of these people that they give these big names and then you could just say, well, what about Messi? Messi's this, Messi's that in Barcelona. Messi said to be the best in the world by everybody. But it doesn't really change it because Messi has a style of play. And I know I defend him in a lot of things, but you can just see it. Like, I don't know. Either I put myself in his place or things like that. But these guys, if they can't be putting 2-3 passes together, I don't feel like they should be in the national team. And, like, some of them, I question them. Like, this guy, what's his name? Giovanni Lo Celso. This guy was in Betis. He was in PSV. Not PSV, but PSG. And they loaned him out. Either loaned him out or Betis bought him later. But he had a great season. And so I was expecting big things, But, like, what I've seen is this dude just, I don't know. He can't really make that much passes. He fouls a lot. He looks for the foul. It's just, I don't know if this Argentinian soccer, but of looking for the foul, of flopping, of just falling whenever I don't get what I want type attitude or type of plays. It's useless for me, in my opinion, because you're not going to get anywhere with it. And especially in these type of competitions. These teams are playing for the points, and they know what they're going out there for. And they're not just going to hand them over just because, oh, I'm Argentina and you're Paraguay. Like, things like that. It's not that simple, And you got to fight for it. And these teams are fighting for it. I've seen that in news or, like, in the ESPN, the Spanish ones. It's mostly run by Mexican television, things like that. And it's been saying, well, look at us. We beat Paraguay. We beat Venezuela. We beat Ecuador, whatever, this and that. And you can see that, Paraguay tied with Argentina. Oh, Venezuela tied with Brazil. And Ecuador, they lost, but still, whatever happens tomorrow, we'll see their quality. And, like, right here, you could just see that Argentina just barely got one back on them. But Paraguay didn't play the same way they played against Mexico. How they're playing right now against Argentina. You could just say, well, like, it's the same team. It was just a few months before. But like that was a friendly, and this is an official match, and that's what I'm saying. Some of these teams, they position themselves to be in a better place or to be a winner or to either get the tie. Basically, they're just looking for the result, and the result is just to get a tie. Just to get the point, not to lose. Because if you lose, you're automatically out, and they know that. So that's why they plan the game. They planned the game for them to go on the counter, and like here's the foul that I was talking about before. Just dumb stupidity. I don't know why you would do this, especially in the box. Like you have no way of stopping that, and I don't know. Right here is just a penalty. Bad shot. He basically got it, and yeah, that's basically the game. It was very boring. It was kind of fast paced, but I mean, it just made me mad how Argentina played. Paraguay actually tried to do stuff like they tried to run on the counter. They had players that were really exciting actually. For me, Almiron was a player to look at. He used to play in Atlanta United, and then Newcastle. I think bought him for like 20 plus million pounds, and they broke like he's like the highest bought player by Newcastle. And Newcastle, towards the end, they actually started having a good season. But that's what I mean. These certain little players that not that much people know of, or that people do know of but don't rate that high because of the team they play or where they're from or things like that. Sometimes you need to look further in, more in depth. And these players are difference makers. For me, that goal that the player made, I'm sorry, I don't really remember the other Paraguayan's name that scored the goal. Oh, it's right here, Sanchez. And you could just see that, I mean, he hit that first time and he hit it to the other post, basically. But for me, that goal was all Almiron. Like, Almiron got it from, like, the midfield, like, ran that thing all the way in and then, like, crossed it right before the line. And it was a perfect cross. But also merit to that guy, to Sanchez, because he just hit it first time and swished it with the outside of his foot. And, I mean, I don't know if any of the other Argentinian goalkeepers could actually stop it, but it was a good shot, and all the merit to Sanchez. But that's what I mean. Some of these players, like, I don't know where this Casco plays, this dude, I didn't see anything from him tonight, but nobody's going to talk about him because they don't know him. I mean, Messi was, like, locked down the whole time. That's the thing. A lot of teams, they know who they need to stop. And, I mean, this is obvious, whatever. If you know that the best player on the other team is this person, you're going to try to put two people on him. You're going to try to make him uncomfortable. You're going to try to get in his way. You're going to try to just make it super hard where he can't even do anything. And that's what the Paraguayan players did. But that's the problem because Argentina always plays through Messi. You can't always play through one player and expect different results because if he's not feeling it, if he's not going, if he's not having what he wants to have happen or like score or assist or whatever, then the whole team is off because you're just relying on one player. But the other guys need to step up. Like, not Messi can't do anything. Like, he tries to do some things. He tries to take on. He tries to do this and that. But then, like, I guess, I don't know. Maybe at the same time, I would be pretty mad if Messi just loses the ball and he just starts walking. And then the other guys, they just run on the counter already. Because that's what the Paraguayan players were doing. Once they received that ball, they were not thinking of it. They were just running as fast as they could. And, I mean, if the Argentinian players didn't foul or didn't stop them at the right time, like, they could have scored a lot of goals. And that's what I mean. It was just like a 3-on-2, a 3-on-3, a 3-on-4, whatever. And they were always going against whatever defensive line Argentina had. And that's what cost them or made them make those fouls that they had to stop the Paraguayan players. And just, I don't know. Little things are the difference makers. Paraguay knew what they had to do, like I said. They were looking for the counter. They got their goals. For me, they should have won the game because they got a penalty caught in their favor. And they didn't make it. They didn't capitalize. But that's what changes. That's what puts things into perspective. That's what puts a big team over a smaller team or a second-rate team. And not saying anything against Paraguay or this or that. But like, you need to make that. You need to win. You need to win this game, especially if they give you a penalty. You can't miss that, because if Argentina's having a bad time, who cares? You gotta win your game. You gotta represent your country, and you gotta make those actions or those moments count. You can't lose. I mean, not lose, but you can't pass up the opportunity to win a game by missing a penalty. Like, Messi misses them sometimes, but he's criticized like crazy, especially that one against the World Cup where he missed it against Iceland. They're like, if Messi would have made that penalty. Well, like, that was one of the only other options other than, I think, their goal, or I don't know if they tied 0-0. I don't remember. But that's what I'm saying. Penalties need to be made. Messi made his. They didn't deserve it, in my opinion, because I forgot what the call was. I think it was on VAR for sure. I was in a play where they all went to go hit the ball, and supposedly it hit one of the other players' elbows or his arm or something. But for me, I mean, he was just jumping, and if it did, it just like barely touched his elbow. VAR is kind of becoming a problem. It is solving some, but like in this play, I don't know. It's very. It can go either way for me, and it's not really a clear-cut point because the guy was just jumping, I think, and he was just jumping to try to hit the ball out, and I think it touches his arm, but just like it didn't even bounce in either way. It just like basically touched it. It just like went through it, and that's what I'm saying. Just like certain calls, I've seen it in the World Cup of the women's, and here it's just certain calls. Some of these penalties that they're calling. It's kind of crazy. It is helping, but at the same time, it's not. It's also making teams rely on the VAR calls. And for me, they should just choose an identity, stick to it, stick to that coach, let him work, let him get the results, let him pick the people he wants, and don't be listening to the media. Because the media want to talk about all these things, but they're not the ones running the show. They're the only ones criticizing you. They don't want to see you shine. They rather want to see you lose or fail, because that's what sells papers. And that's what it is. Controversy is the stuff that sells papers. Ain't nobody want to hear a happy story, a happy this, a happy that, because that doesn't sell papers. That's just all I got to say. I hope Argentina can make it out the group, and I hope they actually do at least make it second, but we'll see what happens. This is just what I got to say on this topic. Here are my social medias. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on Twitter. Subscribe to the channel. I'll keep y'all posted on future games, and like and subscribe.